Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. This is episode 227, Can Manifestation Backfire? Hey, I'm hypnotist Jim Kellner. I am co-hosting once again for the incredible Law of Attraction hypnotist, the #1 best-selling author of The Practical Law of Attraction, Align Yourself with Manifesting Conditions and Successfully Attract Your Desires. She is also the founder of HipTalk.com and the HypnoClouds app, which gives you access to over 500 hypnosis recordings right in the palm of your hand. So be sure to download the app from the app stores. Please welcome the fabulous host of this show, Victoria Gallagher.
Hello,
Yay.
Jim. Hey, woo! We need to have a little bit of applause or something like that. I
Yes.
love applause, don't you?
Oh, my favorite thing in the world. What are you kidding me?
Exactly. I mean, as a stage hypnotist, you must really get, to enjoy that quite often, much more than I do.
That's because I tell them, hey, applaud for the volunteers, and then I'm getting applause too. So,
Exactly. Yeah. So I love applause. So we should get some sound effects and things like that going on in our
Yes,
our
absolutely.
podcast. I should probably use a different software to record when we do this. But anyway, so yeah, we're talking about can manifestation backfire. And I think our pre-conversation, we always have our little catch-up conversations before we start the episode. We were having a pre-conversation where I think that it really is pretty appropriate what we were talking about in regard to can manifestation backfire.
You are so right. I mean, and I hadn't even thought about it, but yeah, when you mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, we're talking about what today's episode really.
We really are. We really were. We really were. So I have a confession to make, actually. I have a confession. So you and I have been building our new apps and everything. And I have been in the process of really getting all of my content organized and ready for the new app. And I will say, here's the thing. I have about half of my audio tracks are in that I've ever created. Probably about half of my audio tracks that I've ever created, maybe a little more than half, are in the HypnoCloud app. And I counted just yesterday. I put a spreadsheet together because I was scrubbing out, getting rid of a lot of the dupes and kind of reorganizing some of the tracks into better categories and all of that, and just doing some interesting things. And I calculated, and it's not 500 in the existing app. It's only about 450.
Oh, wow.
So, but that represents only about half of my content. And I'm on a content making spree right now. Like I
Wow.
am just, I am making so much content by the time the new app gets public. My goal by the end of this year is that there will be 1,000.
Oh,
There will be 1,000
1,000 recordings. I mean, is there a problem on earth that a person could have that they couldn't find it in your app? The solution, right?
Well, I will say this, and I'm not going to say it out loud, but I was searching on Etsy for some hypnosis tracks, because I was also thinking about experimenting with putting a few of my tracks on Etsy and just seeing. I know you also sell on Etsy,
No,
and
I'm on Etsy. I don't sell on Etsy.
but there are some interesting, when you type in, hypnosis, there are some interesting problems that people have a need to resolve. And I can tell you that those are some problems that I will probably never be able to resolve or have an interest in resolving. So there are some that I just won't do. And I will say also that my content is really going to be so much more geared toward, like, I started like really tapping into a lot of really new ideas that I just haven't seen done anywhere.
Cool.
And so I'm really, really excited just about helping people in, all kinds of new ways. But primarily it's always going to be in the, area of law of attraction, manifestation, business success, entrepreneurship, all those kinds of things. And then, even I do love helping people to sleep.
Oh yeah, and
And
it's a huge need. Yeah.
yeah, it's a really, really good, and so I will probably, continue making more programs around sleep, manifestation, and law of attraction. But it is interesting when you really start doing your target audience research, and this is why I tell my people that I coach my business success clients, to do your, your avatar and find out what their problems are, and all of that is so, so important, because when you find this out, then, you just open yourself up to all kinds of new problems that you can solve for these people. And so I feel like I've just like really dialed in on that. But anyway, my God, this is quite a long long opening to what we're here to talk about today.
Oh yeah. Okay. I thought that was. Well, I think it's such a good point, and I'll tell you, like, if you're out there listening, if you're a hypnotist
Yeah.
or a coach or somebody like that, and you're in this business, I'll tell you, I'll make a confession. Not having a niche, trying to be a generalist, has probably been my number one mistake.
Mhm.
Um, I try to solve all the problems, and you end up solving none of the problems, or very few of them. So I think it's so important. But what we were talking about, so find a niche. And here's the thing too, and this is what I finally had to do, is like, people are always like, well, I can't decide. You know what? Just pick anything. You can always change later, right?
It's so true. It's so
Why is
true.
it
You
so
don't
much
have to.
pressure?
Yeah, I know. I
It's not a
mean, and
marriage.
it's
It's
like
not a
this need to be perfect to get it
right.
just right,
Yeah.
and it's that perfectionism I think we talked about, before, that leads to procrastination and doing nothing. And so, yeah, it's absolutely so, so true. I mean, and coaches tried to tell me that years ago before I finally, the niche sort of developed itself
Mhm.
in a way. Like, I didn't really just say, okay, it sort of developed itself. And then one day I just kind of said, I wonder if I started making more programs around law of attraction manifestation, if that would really catch on. And it absolutely did. And so I was pretty happy about that, but I still did it a little backward. I sort of let it find me and develop itself, rather than saying, okay, this is my who, these are the people. And I sort of did it a little bit in reverse, but it all worked itself out.
Good deal. Good deal. So as we're talking about today's episode, um, both of us, so before the episode started, we're both, so I'm working on a very kind of a basic app. It's just got some hypnosis recordings, and then I've got my more advanced app that I've hired a developer for. And of course, you have your hypno. It's HypnoCloud right now, but it's changing the name later, and a
Yeah.
very advanced app doing all kinds of groovy new things.
Yeah.
And we're both talking about how, I guess the way that you pull this together is that we're both manifesting these apps, but boy, there's a lot to getting what you want, right? A lot of maybe downsides.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so like, can manifestation backfire, is like the subject of today. And absolutely it can backfire if you're not doing the manifestation correctly. You can end up creating the exact opposite of what you were hoping for. And so your manifestation is always a reflection of whatever it is that you are in alignment with, particularly what you believe. And so you could be on the one hand saying, I consciously want to create this, I want to bring this thing into my reality on a conscious level, just what you are. And when I say conscious, I'm just talking about like what you're present to, like what you're saying right now in this moment. But
Yeah.
then you know, on the flip side and on the much deeper part of yourself, your, you know, your subconscious mind, you could be having all kinds of negative beliefs, doubts, emotions. And, you know, so your manifestation is going to be a reflection of which of those two emotions is stronger. Are you more on, you know, the positive believing side, or are you on the more like doubtful, you know, negative side? And, you know, the reason why I kind of brought up what our conversation was like beforehand, you know, and both of us are guilty of this, you know, we, you know, we're picking apart our development team and talking about like, do they even know what they're, you know, doing and all of that. And, you know, and I've felt that way at times too. But then I, you know, at the same time, you know, if we really want to take it to like this whole manifestation thing, we've got to like somehow or another, we've got to start to have the beliefs of, you know, like that's getting caught up in the how it's going to happen. And
Mm.
we're, you know, we're talking about like, I don't even know if this project's going to going to manifest itself. But when we're talking like from those terms, guess what? That's how the manifestation can backfire, because we're talking about what, you know, what we don't want, and
True.
talking about it from a standpoint of like the how. And it's like, I don't see how this is going to happen. And it can, you know, definitely, it could definitely have a way of backfiring.
And, you know, I mean, looking and trying to look at it from a point of view of, you know, when you mention it like that, I think, you know, because I'm frustrated with a developer, they're not doing what I want them to do. But then I have to wonder, are they just disregarding my wishes, or was I not as clear as I could have been?
Mm-hmm.
And
You know, and these are things that we definitely learn along the way, you know, with anything. Like it's all about clarity. You know, it's like some, you know, if you ever sent your wife to to grocery store to get, you know, a particular thing, and then she comes back and it's like, oh, that's not exactly what I had in mind.
yeah,
And you know, we did this leadership a long time ago, and I took this class. It was women's leadership in Sci seminars, and we did for all day long. It was so fun. It was fun, but it was also like eye-opening. So we were on silence for an entire day, and we break it down into like groups of 6, and we took turns on who was the leader in that moment. And the rest of the team that you were leading had to do what exactly, not interpret, but exactly what they heard you say.
that's
And
scary.
so, yes, it is scary, because the results were hilarious. I mean, you know, and I can't exactly articulate, because this was like 20 some odd years ago. I can't like articulate some of the conversations, but you can imagine. And you know, it's kind of like when you tell your child, like, don't drop that.
Right.
And well, you know, they hear drop that, you know, it's like, what are they supposed to do? And how do you don't drop something? Or go over there, you know, it's like, well, where is there? And, you know, just all of these things. And it's like, well, I want the app to look kind of like this. And when you, oh my goodness, building an app is really an exercise in clear communication. And
About
it's
every
like
detail. You know, this is
about
the thing that
every detail.
you don't think about this, but when you're looking at an app, I mean, every single thing, every picture, every illustration, every word, every, terms and conditions, every single thing, that was someone had to make that decision. Some person.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And it's absolutely mind-boggling how many little moving pieces there are, from, the design, having the design the way that you want it to be, to having the functionality function the way that you had envisioned it. And it's like, like when I said that I wanted that, and everything, we have everything very clearly spelled out in our scope of work. But even with a scope of work, and even with designs, there's still like this miscommunication somewhere. And so it really does come down to, every single thing comes down to our clearly defining and communicating what we want, and rather than what we don't want, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, as we're thinking about this, I mean, do you want to take kind of a broader look at what can go wrong when when manifesting backfires? And we've got our specific examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're not careful about how you're communicating, and when I say communicating, I don't just mean like out there, but communicating internally, communicating to yourself, communicating to other people, communicating visually, all of that. You can actually end up manifesting something that you really don't want, or something that's really not in your best interest or in your highest good. For example, if you're trying to manifest a new relationship, but you still have a lot of baggage from your old relationships, and that's all you're thinking about, is like, oh, I don't want to end up with somebody that is just like my ex-husband or my ex-spouse, or it's like, I hate, or I hate, even you go on this date and you start to think about all the things that you don't want. And, so whatever you're focused on, you can end up manifesting, some of the things that you absolutely do not want in a relationship. Another example could be, let's say you're trying to manifest a job, and, but whenever you think about your ideal job, you start thinking back to all the places where you used to work, because that's how you think about work. That's your context for work. And so you think about all the things, what went wrong, all the things that you're trying to get away from, the boss, the gossipy colleagues, the type of menial work that you were doing, whatever it is. And you start, that's all you can really think about. And so, manifestation requires us to create from a blank canvas, and, not, from like our memory. And so many
Right.
people they're manifesting from their memory. And so we've got to clear and the slate. We've got to look beyond what we know, because if we really, really knew, then we would already have. And so the other thing too is that sometimes we think we want something, and then we end up manifesting that, and we're not really happy with what we thought that we wanted. Maybe you see what your friends are doing on social media and it looks cool. They look like they have an amazing job, or they just, they look like they're buzzing around and doing stuff all the time. But then you kind of realize, God, I just kind of prefer doing something else. Like, maybe somebody that looks like they're just having a great social life. But it's like, it's too much for you to keep up with. And you just kind of prefer to be a little bit more quiet and reserved, and, and hang out by yourself a little bit more often. That's one of the things I kind of discovered recently, is like, I think I have decided I'm just a little bit more reserved, and I'm not as much of a public person as I thought that I wanted to be. And so I've recently just kind of decided, what makes me happiest is when I have fewer things on my schedule. It used to look cool. It used to be like I used to love looking at my calendar and see like so many things, so many clients, so many podcast interviews, so many events. And it's like, oh, that is not what I want anymore. And so you have to pay attention to how you feel, and you've got to be honest with yourself, because otherwise you're going to end up with a life that that doesn't work for you. And you have to also realize too that, one of the other biggest things is just being happy in this moment, and realize that happiness is something that comes from within you. It's not created by the things that you're going to manifest. I've had to really take a look at that myself, because, I, don't spend every moment like 100% completely happy.
Mhm.
And one day I was just kind of like, why do I feel this way? And you get into this habit of like waiting for the next thing to happen, like waiting for like, okay, I was waiting for this thing to be over, this event to be over. It's like, well, then after this event is over, then I can finally start to do what I want. I can finally start to be happy. But then that event all ended, and it's like, no, it's not there yet. And and then I started thinking like, oh, it's because I've been working on this app forever,
Right.
right? And so of course, when the app is done, then I'm going to be happy. And then I thought about that, and I'm like, no, because there's going to be the next version, and it's not going to be perfect, because nothing ever is. There's always going to be something that we're working on, some new challenge, something, and so trying to put your happiness on hold and saying, I'm going to be happy when, and right now I'm just going to keep it all bottled up. It starts with, the point is, it starts with being happy first. And we nothing else is going to make us happy. Nothing, I mean, maybe the first day you open the door to your new car or your new house, all of that. And, but you have to also just learn to be appreciative of all the things that you have going on right now. And that, um, that is how you start to manifest and being more happy. It starts with being happy now.
So instead of saying I'll be happy when my app is released, could I at least say I'll be relieved?
It's tricky. I know how you feel. I feel you. I mean, we're in the same space. We really are. I feel you. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting that we're both working on this at the same time, because I mean, I do kind of feel a little bit ahead of the game, because I actually have one out there. So
You have to have
I've
a head
been through
start.
this I've
Yeah.
been through this process before, many, many times, for much longer. So I know what you're going through 100%. I mean, more than you even know. And I know what you're going to go through. And, it's hard. And at the same time, the relief, putting any feeling off until it happens is setting you up for that manifestation to backfire. Because what if you just felt relief now? Like,
Ooh,
what if you,
how could I?
I know. What if you just said, okay, I'm relieved because I trust that one way or another, like even if the worst case scenario happened, and like what's the worst case scenario? You got to like ditch these
Start
developers
again.
and get start from scratch. Hallelujah. What a relief that would be.
It's true.
Even, I mean, even though I know you've spent money on it, all of that, trust me, been there, done that. I've thrown out apps. I've invested, lots of time and money. It's 2 years, 2-year investment. I completely threw it away.
Yeah.
And it was so disappointing. But you know what? It was such a relief. It was such a relief. And so the thing is I think taking it all the way out to like, what's the worst that can happen? What's
Yeah.
the worst that could happen? And you can actually feel relief from letting go of having to fear that or worry that. You can just like actually just experience that right now and know that, like, okay, you can't prevent what's going to happen from happening, you know but you can feel the relief now, and at the more you feel the relief now, the closer you get to feeling relief.
True. You
The
know,
closer the event comes that would cause you to feel that relief.
yeah. And so one thing I will say is that I do have a um pretty good, I don't know how to say it, but I feel okay with, I mean, it's one of the things that I learned very early. And I think that maybe for some of us, we don't learn, because I know I've talked to another hypnotist about this. And so I'll give you an example. Like, well, like if I had to ditch this, we spent a lot of time, a lot of money. I just think of it as a business expense, just like anything else. Like there's been
Hmm.
plenty of failed projects. You think of, McDonald's releases a new sandwich and loses $1 million on it or something, right? I mean, this happens
Hmm.
all the time in business. And a great example is I have a friend, and we both tried, getting assistants that would book gigs.
Hmm.
And he told me one time that he'd tried it a couple of times, it didn't work, so he gave up. And I was like, wait, what? Why would you give up? That just means you got to keep trying. Just like if you hire employees, I mean, you're gonna get duds, and you've got to move on and get another one, or you're just not going to be successful.
Right, exactly. Well, it's kind of like, I tried to, I mean, anything that you want to be a success at, you have to just keep working at it until you succeed. I mean, it's like, yeah, I tried to go to the gym and work out and lift weights and lose weight, and it just didn't work. So
Right?
I'm just not gonna do that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I
And
didn't get buff, and so I guess it's not working. And so let's move on.
yeah. And, like as an entrepreneur, it's kind of like part of the deal is you can't get to a certain level without help.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. So you either decide like, well, I'm just going to stay,
Small
and
time. Yeah. Or you're
stay
gonna.
small time,
Yeah.
and you can be happy with that. There's
And there's
nothing
nothing
wrong
wrong
with
with that. Absolutely. Yeah. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Right.
And if you want to get to a certain level, then you have to realize there's work that comes with that. And part of that work is learning how to hire the right people. And I've struggled with that. I have had more success with it recently, and I actually had to release some limiting beliefs about it. I mean, I
Mm.
got to a point where I was really just feeling like broken. Like
Wow.
when I say broke, I mean I just can't pick the right people. Like I
Oh
just
my God. Okay. So that's not just me.
oh yeah.
That's what I'm like. I can't pick. I'm a terrible picker, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just a belief, and I feel like once I kind of acknowledged that belief and I started, like, I don't know what I did. I did a lot of work on it though. I mean, I started visualizing and I started manifesting really, and kind of realizing that, okay, I'm manifesting at an unconscious level. And there's something coming through my vocabulary that I am not aware of that allows it to be acceptable for people to let me down. And, like that, I
Yeah.
took it all the way down to that level that
I feel you on that. I really feel you on that. I do. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better. It's not perfect. It's still work in progress. And, I think if there was a coach out there that could teach people how to hire,
Right.
right, they would make a fortune.
Yeah. So we've talked about a couple of different things that kind of make our manifestation backfire. I want to make
Mhm.
sure I don't miss any more.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what else I need to look out for?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so law of attraction is always, always, always responding to our thoughts and our feelings. And so there could be many reasons that you or I or a person, may not be in alignment with whatever it is that they want to manifest. And the two biggest things are number one, conflicting desires. Your conscious mind wants one thing, your subconscious mind wants another thing. And we know this as hypnotherapists. And, that's one of the reasons why I believe, meshing manifestation and hypnosis are just a match made in heaven, because hypnosis can help bridge the gap between those two parts of your mind, that you may not even be aware of why your subconscious mind is wanting something different from what your conscious mind wants. And so it's the conflict. And when there's that conflict, you're taking actions. Your actions typically line up with more of what you believe in your subconscious mind, because like either you're taking the wrong actions, you're going in the wrong direction, or you're failing to take any action at all, because you're coming from a place of lack, insecurity, fear, and doubt. And so if you're trying to manifest something, but your subconscious mind isn't buying in, then it's really likely that your manifestation is going to reflect exactly what's going on in your subconscious mind. And then the other thing that gets in the way, it's similar, but it's different, is that you're holding on to negative emotions from the past. You're holding on to, and can really block your happiness. It can block the high vibe. You're holding on to, oh my goodness. I mean, for me, it was, so many times I've been let down
Mm,
by
yeah.
uh,
I hear
developers in
you.
the past, or, like, and so just having those fears. And it's the same thing with, people manifesting anything, relationships, or people that are manifesting better results with their weight. They've been let down by so many failed attempts by
Right.
themselves. They've let themselves down, and they have resentment toward themselves, and they have and
You're right.
so you have to, I mean, I've had resentment toward myself. Maybe I've gotten to the point of frustration where I've not been very nice to some of the people that I've been working with, and lost a little bit of control of my patience and things like that. And
Mhm.
yes, nice, Victoria, I
I feel
have.
that. So hard not to.
And so we're human, and
Yeah.
we got to forgive ourselves, and we got to, so that it's that bitterness, so that resentment, that's such a low vibe. Like, that's the lowest vibe you can possibly be in. Well, maybe not the lowest vibe. I mean, the lowest vibe is like dead,
Right.
where you just literally are resigned to it. You just give up, and you're just not even trying anymore. But getting through those frustrations and the resentment, if we can let go of those emotions, then we're going to attract something much, much better into our lives.
I think what I'm hearing you say is forgive ourselves for not being perfect, right?
Ooh, forgive,
Ourselves.
forgive ourselves, and forgive others, and
Sure. Yeah.
accept what went wrong before, and where we're at right now.
and it's so easy to kind of think that I should be good at hiring people, for instance, or something. When I mean, I don't know all of your history, but I don't think that you went to school for hiring people either. I didn't take any classes on it. I wasn't mentored on how to hire people, these kind of things. So it really is like, if we kind of can look at this as, hey, each one of these people that that didn't work out, that was our learning experience. That's our schooling. That's our training. Hopefully we maybe Google how to hire the right person and get some tips or something. But and I think that's so true for everything though. Like I had never developed an app before. I had no idea what to do, had never, somebody was telling me the other day, I was talking about doing like a hypnosis show or something. And they said, well, I've never done one before. And I said, you know how many hypnosis shows I did before I did my first hypnosis show? Yeah, none, right? I mean, that's so understanding that we've got to, that's part of the process, that's part of the learning process, is just doing the work.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you said that. I mean, it's like no one, none of us went to school to learn how to hire the right people. And if you did, then hey, that's awesome. But if there is a school for that, let me know, because I'll be the first one to.
I'm just thinking that'd be a great class to teach for HypnoThoughts or one of the other conferences. Right.
It really would be. It really would be. I tried to insert that a little bit into, but I always try to cram way too much in. So that could be like all by itself, a class that, what I've learned from 20 years of hiring people. And I still have more to learn, but we have to be more gentle with ourselves and realize that some of these things that we're being tasked to do as entrepreneurial people, hypnotherapists, people, we're trendsetters. I mean, I can't believe some of the things when my app developers tell me like, oh, that's never been done before. It's like, am I really am I really that innovative?
Yeah.
Like, and I just, so all that to say, you got to kind of forgive yourself and accept where you're at.
And if you're breaking ground, I mean, if you're the first person to do it, you're the one writing the book for it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So to kind of to close this out, what are your best tips for us all to avoid having our manifestations backfire on us?
That's a great question. So I would say the very first place that you want to start, I think this is so underrated, this quality, it's developing the quality of self-awareness. Really tuning in and like becoming aware of like, what is working, what is not working, what might I be doing to contribute to the situation, and and just really paying attention to how the universe is responding. It really is responding so much to our thoughts and our feelings, like really becoming aware of how you feel, really becoming aware of how you think. So that's number one, is increasing your self-awareness. The second thing is really paying attention to, from that self-awareness, paying attention to your vibration, raising that vibration by choosing now, since you're aware of what your thoughts are that are contributing to your vibration, your feelings, when you notice yourself thinking poorly, then you want to learn, figure out like, what thoughts do I need to be thinking that are going to improve my my vibration? Is it really serving me to say, oh, these people suck,
Yeah.
Because all that is going to do is create more. If your thoughts
Suck.
are really mirroring back, like these people
Right.
suck, it's just going to create more they suck, right? So you've got to like be able to like put your thought, and this isn't like make believe necessarily. Like, it's not like to say, well, they don't suck. We don't want to say that, because we're still actually using the idea of suck. Uh, so we don't want to say that, but what we want to do is, and this is one thing that I noticed, we always have these meetings on Monday. And so I noticed, like, well, this is wrong, 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 right? And so it's like so easy to just like look at what's out of place. And so I caught myself during that moment and I said, I don't mean to be just only pointing out all the flaws. I do want to like take notice and look at also what is going right. Well, we do have consistent Monday meetings. That's going right. We do almost every Thursday. I get a new build and there's always some progress being made. And compared to any other app that I've ever developed before, these guys have actually been the most consistent. So like these were the things I started to like have to look at. And so you have to train yourself to look at what's good. And when you look at what's good and you have some gratitude for that, that's by and large, that's going to raise your vibration. And the other tip that I have is just to really train yourself to feel good right now in the present moment. Kind of like I had started to say earlier, like don't wait until everything's done to feel happy or relieved or uh, because there's always going to be something. I always just notice like I get into this as soon as, like there's always this as soon
Right.
as thing going on.
Yeah.
And there's always a reason to not do or feel or think how I would be feeling, when everything is where it's supposed to be, when everything falls into place. Well, nothing's ever going to fall perfectly into place. There's always, 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 no matter how many times you vacuum your floor, there's always
Right.
going to be like
Always got to
something.
vacuum again.
You're always gonna have to, especially when you have 3 cats and getting hair all over the place. There's always gonna be something
That's
that
so
you
true.
could pick apart,
Right.
something that's not perfect, something that's not quite right. And so we got to train ourselves to like be present now and don't wait to feel good until after your desire has manifested. Be grateful for what you have now, let go of the past, take inspired steps toward your goal. Don't wait for everything to be like, perfect. Just take steps. There's so many people I see just putting off, waiting till they know a little bit more. They have one more degree, or they have one more certification, or they have one more of, no, you got to just start to take some action. And finally, just the last tip is just to have faith that you do deserve. Because I think so much of this can come from just we sabotage our success because we don't actually believe that we deserve to have what we want,
Mm.
and maybe down deep inside. And so just believe and have faith that you deserve to have what you want and that everything will happen in divine timing.
Wonderful. Really, really. I'll admit that that last one I do sometimes think, because I'm working on some pretty big projects right now, and I do have to kind of just go, no, you're worth it. You can do this. You're able and worthy and all that stuff.
Yeah, you absolutely are. You are.
One more thing, because we touched on this a little bit, as far like our app production and that kind of a thing, and maybe hopefully people can find a message for them and whatever they're working on, even without working on an app. There's always something that you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentored this young man, and I remember him. He's like 17, and he's working on these different projects, and he's an entrepreneur. And I remember he's asked me a couple times, "Do you ever feel like just quitting?" And I go, "Are you kidding me?" All the time.
Yep.
And It's gotten easier over time to realize it's not really an option, because I don't know where I could work. But right. Can you imagine getting a job now? I mean, it's
No, I mean,
unthinkable.
there have been, honestly, because I'm just going to be vulnerable. I have even, to this day, every once in a while, it's just like, you know, maybe I should just get a job.
Yeah,
And it's
I
hard
know.
to even imagine that after 23 years, and and I think people that like see me in a certain light or whatever
Yeah,
would find that hard to believe, that even I would,
right.
after
That's great.
publishing 4 best-selling books, after this app, after having all the success that I've had, that even to this day, it's kind of like, oh
Yeah,
God, you have those days. You have those days. And but then you look and you see what's out there and you're like, nope. Kind of like that movie. Nope.
nope.
This
Yeah,
is better than any possible job that I could ever get.
yeah. There have been a couple times, and I was,
I'm not even qualified
I know that was
for
the other thing too. I was like, well, what would I even do? I mean, I could maybe work for somebody as a teacher or a speaker or something, but I don't know what else. I really don't even know. And the idea of like having somebody else in control of my time would just,
Mm.
wow.
I
So
know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't even, it's unfathomable. It's just
yeah,
unfathomable.
yeah,
Like, and even like my last job, I didn't even have like, a boss that was in control of my time. I did work for a company, got a paycheck, but I created my own paycheck
mhm,
for the last 6 years before I was, as a stockbroker.
yeah,
There's no salary, and it's all commission, 100% commission. So I was on 100% commission from 1994, until I left that job in 1999. And even then I didn't have uh, somebody, but before then, when I was a sales assistant, um, and I had people to answer to, it was just like, and I was such a go-getter. I was, a hard worker. I aimed to please. I was super like good. I was always super good and super proactive. But it's like, if anybody like even hinted at trying to structure my day, it's like, don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me what to do. Even back then, I could not deal with it. I knew I was always cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Hey, don't give up, people.
Yeah.
So if even if your manifesting is backfiring, it really does. You read the stories of successful people throughout the ages, and really what set them apart is they just didn't quit. That's it. Just didn't
It's
quit.
so true. It's so
Yeah.
true. It's so true. You decide you decide when you want to fail, or if, or
Right.
when you want to, and you decide that you will succeed at this, and you will.
Victoria, it's been, this has been such a helpful, I feel like sometimes like these are really just therapy for me. So thank you. Um,
Oh, this is so cool. Well, I love it. I love that, I get to like put a face, to the one person. But then, there's thousands of other people out there that are hopefully, through all the rambling,
yeah.
hopefully picking up some good manifestation tips, and feeling the inspiration that I intend for people to feel as a result of listening to this podcast. And you are so helpful in asking these great questions, and helping people to just really help us to break it down for people. So thank you for being a wonderful co-host.
My pleasure. And hey, you know what? If you find this helpful, I got to tell you, we love it. We love it when you let us know. Please shoot us an email, or even better, give us a review on your favorite podcasting platform, and send an email over to Victoria. And with that, Victoria, you want to take us out of here?
Yeah, I will definitely take us out of here. Now, this is just something I literally am thinking about on the spot, because I heard this on another podcast the other day, and I thought that is a great idea, and I'd be so willing to do that.
Hmm.
And so I think what I'm going to do, and we're just going to try this out. So once a month, starting in the month of, let's just say, in the month of November, since this is going to air in October, once a month, I am going to pick one lucky winner to receive a free custom hypnosis recording that is valued at $400. Okay.
Wonderful.
One custom hypnosis recording could be on pretty much any topic you choose. Like I don't want to do anything weird, but and I don't mean to say that in a judgmental way, but you
Right.
know who you
Right.
are.
You know,
And
if you're asking, is this too weird? It's too weird.
that's right. You know, preferably in the area, like, that's like
Victoria's
this
niche.
podcast is about, my niche,
Success and law of attraction.
exactly. Success, law of attraction. And I will help you. I mean, if you want to manifest a house, a car, a love, I will help you and put together a custom hypnosis recording to one lucky winner. Now, how you qualify to get into this drawing is you need to leave us a review on on wherever you review podcasts, wherever you are listening to this podcast. Just leave a review, screenshot it, and send it to me at victoriamgallagher.com. And once a month, I will pick from whoever sends those screenshots to me. I will pick one lucky person to win that prize. So how does that sound?
That's amazing. And I got to tell you, folks, Victoria doesn't take a whole lot of clients these days, one-on-one. So this is a pretty rare opportunity.
Yes,
Pretty
absolutely.
selective about her
Yeah.
clients. So, wow, that's pretty amazing. I'm going to go give us a review right now.
There we go. And so anyway, that's just something I'm trying out. We'll see how that goes, and see if that, gets you guys pumped up and fired to go ahead and leave some reviews. And I got to tell you, I mean, I will not let you down. I do the most amazing custom hypnosis programs. And so you will be very, very happy. And so thank you guys so much for listening to this show. Go to victoriamgallagher.com, look at all the things that I do. Go to Jim Kellner. It's jimkellner.com.
Yeah, that'll work.
jimkellner.com, and go check out all the things that he does, and follow us everywhere on the rest of our social medias, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening.